This is Business Tonight. The top stories. Nigeria to resume oil exploration in Nasarawa state as NNPC loses $2.1 million daily on petrol sales. Nigeria Stock Exchange to sanction 14 companies for failure to comply with minimum post-listing requirement. South Africa to raise GDP growth forecast in October. And China set economic growth target at 6.5% in 2018. I am Yemisi Lanredo. The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation says it is set to resume oil exploration activities in Nasarawa State. NNPC General Manager, Frontier Exploration Services, Dr. Mazadu Bako, said this on Monday in Lafia. Bako said oil exploration activities in Kenya local government area and other parts of Benue Inland Basin were temporarily suspended in January due to the killing of one of the NNPC personnel by militia headsmen. It says NNPC has been mandated by the government to resume the activities in order to increase oil output, adding that adequate security arrangements had been made to protect the lives of the workers. Meanwhile, NNPC says it spends $2.1 million daily as subsidy on 50 million liters of petrol sales. The corporation raised the alarm over proliferation of fuel stations in border and coastal communities across the country. NNPC Managing Director May Kanti Baru says the activities of smugglers have led to an abnormal surge in the evacuation of petrol from less than 35 million liters per day to more than 60 million liters per day. Baru has called on the authorities to tackle the issue of price differentials, which is the underlying motivation for smuggling activities. Well, talking diversification now and another revenue earner, let's talk tourism. For the tourism business to thrive, Nigerians must cultivate the culture of embarking on holidays. Well, Commissioner for Tourism in Akwa-ibom State, Victor Antai, says he said this when he played host to tour operators and the media at the Ibom Hotels and Golf Resort in the state. It said the government has now raised the bar, appropriating about $22 million to the sector from about $2.8 million allocated last year. He spoke to me about the plans for tourism in the state.
Aside from oil, all over, the next foreign exchange earner in any part of the world is the business of tourism. And having this at the back of the mind, the governors that were here before the advent of Mr. Emmanuel's administration are taking that into cognizance, and they tried within the capacity, the ambit of their capacity, to promote tourism in the state. One of which is this very well designed landmark tourism infrastructure in the Akwa-ibom State, that's the Ibom Hotels and Golf Resort. The tourism subsector had a very good chunk. We had a very sizable improvement from below 1 billion naira to about 8 billion naira for this year. So we had a sizable chunk. That is a remarkable improvement. That is to show you that Mr. Emmanuel places premium on the development of the tourism subsector in the state. We have to sustain what the foundation that we have laid. We have to sustain it because the anniversary of the state comes once in a year. So we have to sustain most of the events that was part of Tourism September. And then number two, the Okapiswa thing is an annual thing. You know, every year you have Christmas. The Okapiswa simply means Christmas in our local parlance, the turn of the new year. So every year you have Christmas, and every year you're also going to celebrate the anniversary of the state. So if we can hold these as our major landmark, as our major thrust for the development of tourism, I think it's going to give us the necessary impact that we need in sustaining the development of the tourism sector.
Well, let's talk tourism business with a focal point on Akwa-ibom State's publisher Inside Watch Africa. Oluwaseyi Adeyemo is in the studio. Many thanks for your time, Sheyi.
Thank you.
Just before, I know you were part of that tour to that particular state, but just before we go talking about that, what's your impression of business of tourism in Africa or in Nigeria? Let's limit it to that.
All right. If we want to focus on Nigeria, I would say that we're not fully taking advantage of the very, it's one of the most profitable business in the world right now. And like the commissioner said, it's probably the next frontier for the world as it is right now. $7.6 trillion is actually made or added to the GDP of the global economy by tourism. And so definitely tourism is supposed to be pursued by every meaning country. But unfortunately, it seems to me that Nigeria don't get it yet.
But what do you think we're doing wrongly, really? Because we talk about diversification from oil, especially when Nigeria slipped into recession and we're out, and we're talking about something else from the non-oil sector that we must do to boost our revenue. But what are we doing wrongly when it comes to tourism?
It's obvious.
Yes, we have it.
Yeah, obviously. The way God has created the world is ensure that every society has got something to show the other society. Essentially, the average human being will always be desirous of seeing the next space. What is new, what is in the other space that I could see. But unfortunately, those things that will attract people into our space, we're not doing that enough. Nobody is going to leave the comfort of his home and want to go into another space and start to deal with roads that are not properly built, infrastructures that are not there. And so sometimes I wonder, because look, it's more like you're doing up your house in readiness to cater for your visitors, because whether you like it or not, people will come visiting. So if you do up your house, clean up the place and make sure that it is conducive, becomes comfortable, you will discover that when visitors come into your house, they will settle in and want to re-come. But when you don't do it up, people are very, very reluctant, particularly when you say to them, come join me for lunch. I'm sure they'll be very reluctant. And that, in my opinion, is what we're doing over time.
Over time. All right, we took a visit, you were on that tour to Akwa-ibom State, and we saw what they had to offer. And the government has also raised the bar with what I said earlier, from about 1 billion naira from 2017 to 8 billion naira. That's a wide margin.
It is.
But what do you think with that they could offer, besides what we saw on ground? Because I could see a lot in that state that is yet untapped.
It's amazing. It's a very, very historical state. It's obvious from what we, gather that it's probably one of the most historical states, in my opinion, because then that was where the amalgamation treaty was signed. You had the record of the Aba women riot. You had a host of things that, is very related to the history of Nigeria. Now, beyond that, the people, everybody in Nigeria knows that the Akwa-ibom people are very, very warm people. They're very hospitable, and they're people who will naturally take care of people. And I think that, for me, is one of the greatest assets of the Akwa-ibom people that they need to really push, because they naturally will smile at you. They will naturally make you feel welcome. They will naturally make you feel comfortable. And that is in the center of tourism. And so if a people have got it like they have it, then they need to push it. Because one of the things that people ought to know is that tourism really thrives most in the suburb, in the local area, because people want to see that thing that is not in the city. And they've got it. It's a very green state. They're very green. The very warm. Is amazing. And so I'm saying to them again, like I did while I was up there, that look, you have everything you need to lead tourism in Nigeria. They're strategically located.
I mean, we're talking about internally revenue generation.
Yeah.
And yes, they're getting the revenue also from oil in that particular state.
Right
but
now,
that's a major revenue earner.
It's amazing, particularly with the golf thing. I mean, golf is a major revenue earning game. If you ask me, you can actually have states games. You can have junior competition, and you can have international competition being brought here. If they push the fact that the possibilities are there, you'll be amazed at the level of international golf tournament that can be brought into Nigeria. Yeah, and they've got it because the ambience in that environment is very soothing, is relaxing. You want to be there. You don't want to leave Akwa-ibom if you go there, because there's a lot of pace, there's a lot of comfort, and there's a lot of tranquility that ordinarily sits side by side hospitality, in my opinion.
All right, let's take a break. We'd have to take a break now. When we come back, we'll be looking at the challenges that tourism may be facing in Nigeria and how to find solutions so that we could actually generate that revenue the country needs at this time of recovery to the country. We'll take a break now. We'll be right back. This is Business Tonight. We're talking business of tourism as in speaking with the publisher inside Watch Africa, Oluwaseyi Adeyemo. Yes, we're talking about the challenges we have when it comes to actually expanding tourism in Nigeria, talking security majorly. But let's talk solutions now. What do you think Nigeria should be doing? I know that we're still very comfortable with what we have, but that's not enough. If you go to South Africa, let's just compare with an African country. We'll see how much has been made from their tourism over there. When you get to, let's say the Cape of Good Hope, we'll see how much is made on a daily basis, how many people are employed in that area. What is the solution for Nigeria?
If you want to sell a product, you will invest in that product. Nothing, even friendship, you must work on your friendship. You must invest. In my opinion, it seems to me that Nigeria does not understand the actual potentials of tourism. Because if we do, one of the sectors and area that Nigeria government ought to invest heavily into is tourism. And if you ask me, when you say tourism, when you invest in infrastructure, you're not just investing in it for your visitors, you're investing in those infrastructure for the comfort of your people. If you have good road network, your people can move around. In fact, in all countries of the world, those who are doing well, it is actually domestic tourism in most cases that is higher, 70%. In France is the biggest, tourist destination in the world. They are the one that have the highest international tourists. And 70% of that is domestic tourism. In other words, they're prepared to take care of their people. And whilst they are taking care of their people, it becomes attractive to the rest of the world. And they say there's certain things that I see in France that I want to go and see. The Londoners don't joke with France. They would go there. They would want to, it is a ritual. They would want to go and see France. You understand? And so the truth of the matter is, as long as you are able to make things comfortable, because nobody's going to come spend his money in your country only to start dealing with, oh, the roads are not good, oh, the facilities are not good. Nobody's going to do that. So let's stop kidding ourselves. No matter what rich offerings that we have wonderful offerings, but for them to be comfortable, you must find it easy going there. It is hospitality. It has to be comfortable. It has to be soothing. You must know that you're going to get a level of comfort. If you don't have it, you would not do it. All
right, we must leave it at that. Oluwaseyi Adeyemo, publisher inside Watch Africa. Thank you for your time on Business Tonight. Well, Lagos and United Kingdom firm Low Energy Designs have entered into partnership to construct 10,000 LED street lights covering 300 kilometers in the state. The deal involves the construction of a hybrid energy power assembly plant in Ekpe and is estimated to cost $7 million, which is about 2.52 billion naira. It is expected to create about 500 jobs and delivered in the next 12 months.
What we have with LED UK is what will be replicated to power Lagos with respect to street lighting going forward. So now there will be no fixed cost anymore that the government will need to bear. all costs are now variable. It's been outsourced now. It's been concessioned. We don't have any fixed cost again. We buy lights from the investment of this LED UK. They manage it, they provide the security, they power it, and we meter it. As long as we see the light, we pay.
This agreement also includes the retrofitting of major roads in the Lagos State for use with the Urban Regeneration Project in Ikoyi, Ikeja and Victoria Island. As part of this project, we will be employing over 500 local people here in Lagos and investing over $7 million in the construction and setup of an LED lighting and hybrid energy power assembly plant here in Ibe.
LED is trying to turn day into morning to day. Instead of having the yellow lights, we have the white lights that when you're on the bridge, it's like daytime everywhere. And this is part of what we call Light Up Lagos.
14 companies may face sanction from the Nigerian Stock Exchange due to the company's inability to comply with minimum post-listing requirement of free float of shares to the investing public. Free float rules stipulate the minimum number of shares required by promoters of public companies listed on the NSE to be released to the investing public for trading. With some of the companies that have free float deficiencies include AG Leventis PLC, African Paints PLC, Capital Hotel PLC, amongst others. Well, stock trading opens the week positively at the nation's stock market as many high-cap stocks made gains. Here's Effiong Gekop with details.
Stock prices rose in the various market sectors on Monday as various investors keyed into financial results coming from quoted companies. Dangote Cement drove volume and influenced trade by nearly 4%. The company share price closed at 275 naira per unit. The market all-share index showing price movements on the floor was up by 1.49%. Helicopter services company Keverton improved price by nearly 10%. Maritime services company Japol was up by 9.52%. First Aluminium improved price by more than 8%. Seplat 8.56% and Presco 7.22%. Regency Assurance in the insurance market recorded the heaviest price loss calculated at 8.33%. Len Africa, formerly called Longman, was down by 4.90%. Unique Insurance 4.55%. Linkage Assurance 4.49% and Eternal Oil 3.90%. Effiong Ekop, TVC News at the Stock Exchange.
Well, the Nigerian government is planning to increase information and communication technology investment in the country by $50 billion. Currently, investment in the industry, mostly driven by telecom segment, has reached over $35 billion. Business developer and ICT entrepreneur Mos Romta says investment in information and communication technology is a catalyst for economic growth and development.
All countries look at what has been produced in the country. Okay, now presently, I don't think there's really that policy that is right, for us to begin to encourage made in Nigeria ICT products, made in Nigeria software, made in Nigeria technology. You get it? When this begins to happen, you begin to see them eager, okay? And you also begin to see people, or you start looking at intellectual property, copywriting, all right? Now, Microsoft is made in probably, Microsoft is a US-based company, right? Now, you and I use Microsoft. So it's an export to Nigeria. So if we have an enabling environment, that will support both local content and foreign organizations coming in here, then we'll begin to produce made in Nigeria ICT products, that we can also use internally as well as be able to export it. And that will give us what? Good value for money.
Well, outside Nigeria now, South Africa's government may likely raise its forecast for economic growth In October last month, the Treasury Department said GDP growth of 1.5% is expected this year, up from an estimated 1% last year. Well, this comes as a result of a recovery in agriculture and improved investor sentiment. Finance Minister Slashle Nene says February budget will help to support faster economic growth by finalizing many reforms. But ratings agencies have warned slow economic growth and poor finances at state-owned firms such as power utility Eskom, a threat to sovereigns' credit ratings. Zimbabwe has recovered $250 million of the expected $1.3 billion externalized and looted from the country. The recovered fund is from 105 out of the 1,166 reported cases. In December, after becoming president, Emmanuel Mnangagwa had issued a 3-month amnesty for the return of Zimbabwe's assets and funds. Although the deadline for the amnesty has expired, it has now been extended for a 2-week period. The government says when the extension period comes to an end, it will shame and prosecute non-compliant companies and individuals. In line with existing expansion goals, China has set its 2018 economic growth target at around 6.5%. Although China is now the world's second largest economy, its reliance on borrowing has led to pressing political concerns about debt risk. The International Monetary Fund says the country's debt has ballooned and is now equivalent to 234% of the total output. Meanwhile, China has also announced a military budget of $175 billion for the coming year. Well, we must bring you oil prices now. It traded mixed this Monday following improved demand by Asian factories. At the London market, Brent crude trades high at $64 a barrel. And for the OPEC basket brand, price drops to $62 a barrel. Analysts say President Donald Trump's trade wars could spark a massive drop in oil prices. And that's business tonight. Thank you for your time. I am Yemisi Landredo. Good night.